Mick Gray chats with Lou Simon, October 18th, 2024.
KMiC Radio. I don't know, man. I've been doing this for over 4 years, and I haven't had as many gremlins as Zoom gremlins. Tons of them. Okay, now let's try it again.
Hey!
Oh my God, we have Lou Simon, ladies and gentlemen.
Did I bring you the gremlins?
You brought them, and you know about those things too, man. Those gremlins can sneak up on you, can't they?
Yeah. Well, I've had my share of them, in the old jukebox diner. By the way, I'm enjoying some evening beverage in my KMiC mug.
Oh my God!
I use this mug. I use this mug all the time because it was free, and so anything that doesn't cost money, I love this mug. It's a perfect size, and it's good for a nighttime decaf, and it's got your logo on it, which you drew, which is
yes.
it's a very impressive piece. But over the years, the 10 years we've done this thing, I mean, there was the famous night that there was a brush fire. I was living in California, and a brush fire on the highway, and so the highway was closed, so I couldn't get to the studio. So I called my engineer and I said, I can't, the police have stopped, the roads stopped. And so eventually we started driving very slowly, and I just called in and did the whole first hour of the show over the phone.
Oh my God.
I told him what songs to play. He took phone calls. I heard the phone calls. I had my earbuds in, whatever, while I'm driving. And while I'm driving, I'm doing the show. And then I got there 60 minutes into the show, and he played a long song so I can get up the elevator, and I did the second. So we've had that. And,
about a month ago or 2 months ago, I was sitting on the phone waiting to talk to you, and there was major problems. I think you had to shut down phone calls that night or something.
We've had nights where the phones weren't happening. We've had nights. One night we were 8 minutes into the show, and the studios were closed, and I had to do the show from home remotely, and there was a lightning storm, and 8 minutes into the show, we had just started. We were playing Hocus Pocus by Focus. Lightning hit, blew out my modem, and I had no connection. And I called the guy, and I said to the guy, I said, "Look, I could do the show over the phone, I think, but He said, nah, and he just grabbed an old show and stuck a rerun on. I mean, they're doing COVID, but whatever. But
it's always, like I said, you never know. I mean, even doing
it's live radio.
Yeah, even
I've
doing
done the show with laryngitis where I couldn't, where I was just like, no, like this. But I just didn't want to miss the show. So anyway, it's nice to be here with you, Mick.
It is wonderful to have you. I want to tell these people how inspirational you are to me. I've been listening to your show. I think I signed on to Sirius XM maybe 5 years ago. You've been doing the show for 10 years. This is your 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And when I found you guys, you were on the talk radio channel at the time.
Volume.
And I just stumbled upon you because I never even listened to that channel, really. And I was like, what is this? Everybody, they're just talking about songs.
Well, the magic thing there was the volume was not allowed to play records.
Yeah, you wouldn't play didn't you play snippets?
You could play up to 30 seconds of a song. You could play like 27 seconds of a song. So we literally were talking about records.
That's all you did.
But it was a little frustrating because it was like saying, well, the sax break in that song is great, but he makes a mistake in the middle. We say, oh, really? Wow, that's great. Well, thanks for the call.
Exactly.
I mean, it's so much better and different when you can say, really? Well, let's listen to that sax break. So now that we can play the records, the conversation, it's like the conversations make so much more sense.
It's unbelievable. I mean, do you do a 5-hour show now? Or is it
four? It's four.
It's
4
hours.
Yeah.
It used to be was it a 3-hour show before? Did you just
over the year it was a 1, then it was a 2. It might have leapfrogged. Oh no, it was 3. Yeah, and then it went
you
to
just
4.
jumped.
Yeah, you're completely right. Yes, it did. Yeah.
And you guys, the format on this show tonight is basically just a commercial for you to go out and get Sirius and listen to this guy. Because I swear to God, I love Sirius XM, but if there was only one reason that I would subscribe, it's this guy. Because
thank you. That is so sweet.
Interesting. basic format of the show, Lou. Tell them about how this thing works.
Well, I mean, what I always say is the next best thing to listening to music is talking about it. So the people who gather around, and it's just, look, it's a small audience compared to, other radio shows, but it's a very, very dedicated one. And we are people who love records. We love music. We love the charts, some of us. We certainly love the personal memories of the songs. And sometimes we'll talk about the lyric and how great it is, or the lyric and how terrible it is. We'll talk about the musicianship and who played on it, because oftentimes, sorry, people don't know who the session players were. We'll talk about the songwriters, a great couplet, the inspiration, a great album cover, a great concert. And it's really just everyone's memories of growing up with this music and what they learned along the way, and the stuff that inspired them or that reminds them of, could be, their grandparents' house and the old Magnavox stereo in their living room. It could be friends. It could be your college dorm. The songs trigger different memories, and that's what we welcome. People write and call in and say, can you play this because it reminds me of this? Or can you tell me what he's saying in this? Just tonight, I was trying to sing along with Mashed Potato Time by D.D. Sharp. I don't know what coerced me to do it, but it was on the radio, and I felt that I was obliged to join in. And I realized that, and I bought that 45 in 1963, and I really like the record. And it is on our short list, not our short list, but our ever-growing list of songs where the title is never mentioned anywhere in the lyric. She never says Mashed Potato Time, not once. But the fact is, it's a great little 45. We love the record. And of course, it was then turned into Monster Mash, the same exact song, but with different words. And no one sued anybody over it. That said, though, I realized that to this day, I have no idea what the second line of Mashed Potato Time is. And when she got, I was great on the first line. We got to the second one. I had it cranked up in the car and it was loud. And I realized I had no idea what to say. And I don't know what I've been singing all these 61 years since I bought the 45. But I realized, I said, wait a minute, I have no idea what she says there. And I guess I've just either waited for her to finish that line or I've made noises. And in this case, I said, I have no idea what's going on there. Because everybody's doing no, that's locomotion. She says, what is the first line of Mashed Potato Time?
Oh, man.
It's the latest, it's the greatest mashed potato. Yeah. The mashed potatoes started a long time ago. Really, it's this no. That's the closest I could come. And so there's that. We talk about mondegreens and misheard lyrics and sloppy lyrics and mistakes that are left on records. And that's the theme of the show.
And,
it's just
and the basic premise is, what if you were sitting in a diner listening to a jukebox, and you would be talking about the dimes and that you've been dropping in, And so
the show was originally called Talk Talk. And but the way I described it every week was, hey, it's like me and you getting together at our favorite diner on a Saturday afternoon, tying up the booth for way too many hours and tipping the waitress and putting coins in the jukebox and eating bad food and listening to great music. So after a while, we just changed the name of the show to The Diner because that really became the premise.
And it's perfect because we just sit on the line and we call him, and and Lou maybe plays, 3-4 songs he wants to play, but the rest of the 4 hours are all just people's musical memories. And I tell you, some of them are really, really touching,
You froze for a second, but you're saying what? Different callers?
Different callers call in.
Oh, yeah.
And they're really, some of them are really touching stuff. That
look, the listeners are largely people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. We do have people in their 30s and 20s.
Yeah, like
and
me.
People who are
like me. I'm in my 30s. Right?
Like you, young guys like you. And we call them, investigators. They come snooping around to see what the 60s sounded like. And maybe they're aficionados. But largely the people who really live through it, the people who live through the records. And so they've got these stories. They remember their cousin coming home from Vietnam. They remember sneaking in late after, curfew. They remember everything. And the songs accompany those memories. Borrowing a record that you never gave back, loaning out a record you never got back, arguing with a friend about who was better, this group or that group. And people just remember it all and share it with us. And it's really it's very, very special and beautiful.
It is. Well, I want to get into some questions, but I want to first say our hearts go out to all your people, all the people living in Florida. I know you're down in Miami. Everything's okay with you. It passed you right by.
We did well from Fort Lauderdale south right down here to Miami. We did great. But man, I had some friends that sent me some pictures, not very far away. I mean, like in Palm Beach Gardens and then up towards Vero, and then of course over on the West Coast, Sarasota. I mean, garbage dumpsters, the big ones, not even the smaller ones. The real long ones, the ones that are like a tractor trailer size, went up in the air like Wizard of Oz and landed on a guy's roof. I have a picture of that. I mean, it's awful graphics, upside down cars and boats out of the water. I mean, it was more the tornadoes this time than the hurricanes. 150 tornadoes touched down. So we escaped Helene, and now we've escaped this guy, and it's terrible. We being Miami Beach. But the next one could come around that bend, and and hit us. So it's awful. I lived in California for 18 years, so earthquakes were the story, and mudslides that followed, and all that. So I mean, there's always something, and wherever you go, you have to listen to Pastrami by the Dartels, because that follows you across the nation, and it's my hell record.
That's Lou's
hell Mick, record. Have you ever called in with your hell record, Mick?
My hell record. I keep thinking, I'm so crazy open-minded with music. It's really hard. I haven't come up with it yet. I'm going to, though.
Listeners always call them in, but they always ask me mine, and I would never tell, because I always, as a professional broadcaster, I felt like, what if one of the Dartels was driving in the car with his grandson, and here's some guy say it's the worst record I've ever heard in my life. So I never wanted to do it, but finally I said it. We lost the show for a short time, and when we came back, I said, if we get the show back, I'll tell you my hell record, and I did on that first show. And
some people call in. It's crazy. Some people will call in and say, that song, Bridge Over Troubled Water, is my hell record. And you'll just sit back and go,
yeah, like what?
What?
I mean, no. There, Terry says it's Billy Don't Be a Hero. That is Billy Don't Be a Hero.
I love that song.
I do too, but I can understand why I interviewed Jimmy Webb a couple of weeks ago, and he said to me, and they never get over this stuff. I remember Brian Wilson saying to me how he said, I'm still so pissed off that California Girls only got to number 3 in Billboard. I said, Brian. First of all, Brian.
What was number 2 and 1? 1 and 2.
I Got You, Babe, and Help. And so I said, okay, Brian. First of all, you got leapfrogged by the freaking Beatles in the movie theme. Secondly, and Sonny and Cher, and Like a Rolling Stone was kicking you back. It was a bad time. But it was 1965. So you've got to get over this. He said, no, man. That should have been number 1. I said, Brian. It's one of the greatest pop 45s of all time. Forget like Help and I Got You, Babe. It's California Girls, man. It's great. Yeah. I know, but it's up to 3. And I realized these people, they can't. So here's Jimmy Webb, and he said to me, I'm still kind of irritated, at the bad reviews that MacArthur Park got back in 68. People just really, really kicked its butt, And I said, okay, Jimmy, let's just settle down. First of all, the record had a target on its back. Why? Well, I don't know. It was 4 times as long as any other record at the time. It has a jazz instrumental section for 3 minutes in the middle of it. It's sung by a Broadway actor who really was not a good singer, and the lyrics make absolutely no freaking sense. Now, if you were writing reviews of pop singles, what would you say about that record? I said, but on the other hand, while it has a target on its back, it also is in our hearts forever. It will outlive you. It's played twice in the new Beetlejuice movie, once by Donna, once by Richard Harris. And I said, it's a brilliant, adventuresome, important, risky, wonderful record. From 1968, it is a perfect example of taking a chance and winning. It's inspirational. It got guys through Vietnam who hung on it and loved it. And I said, it's brilliant. I said, who cares what some guy wrote in the Baltimore Dispatch or whatever saying that it was this or it was that? He doesn't. No one cares about him. People listen to the record. He said, I know. But the fact is, see, they shouldn't have said all that stuff. They can't get past it.
It's
They
hard.
can't get.
I
They
guess
can't. They
all the
can't
years.
get.
Did you also tell him that what Stevie Van Zandt wasn't that his heaven song?
It was his heaven song. Yeah, that's right. No, I didn't tell him that.
You should
But-
have. Yeah.
So wait, how do we get on that? So we're talking about heaven. So right, when people say, so Billy Don't Be a Hero, that's what we're going to say. Billy Don't Be a Hero is I mean, it's a story song and it's sappy and it's got that bam, 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 bam. I mean, it's annoying in a good way. Summer 74, as I recall.
Agree.
It's all over the radio. Big hit in England by Paper Lace, big hit in America by Bo Donaldson and Haywoods, and a good little 45. It was fine. What happens? He dies. He comes back. Does he die? Oh no, he does die. He writes. She says, "Don't go," and then he does. It's fine. It held our attention. I mean, no, there's more. There's more. It's hateable. It's hateable.
It is.
But
It is.
it's okay.
And a lot of people do hate MacArthur Park too. Myself, I love it. We have a Hall of Fame song, Hall of Fame here at KMiC. That was the second song, I think, that got added to our Hall of Fame.
It's brilliant, but
It
it's you have to look, I guess it's an acquired taste. I mean,
It was very experimental for the time.
there's a lot to it. Yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, look, we've got people said their hell song is Hey Jude.
Isn't that crazy?
You know, and I say to them, okay, seriously, Hey Jude in the year 2525. Go ahead and vote.
You know what?
In the year 2525 is so annoyingly terrible.
I think hell songs can come from radio listeners that are listening a lot in that time period. And Hey Jude, how overplayed did it get? It got played on.
There was no, you can't overplay.
You couldn't get it. No, you can't.
Yeah.
But I mean, it got played so many times that if you didn't think it was great,
It's so great. Or Terry is saying, Night Chicago Died. What's another song you hate? Night Chicago
that's
Died? Paper Lace.
too. Yeah.
Paper Lace had a hit around the world with that one.
Yeah.
They had Billy Don't Be a Hero in the UK, but here in America,
it's even slightly bubblegum, I'm in. I love fucking bubblegum music.
me too.
Yeah.
Me
stuff's
too.
great, man.
I like all that Farfisa stuff. And
That's
all
why
the
I
silly
started the night before we got all messed up with Mr. Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. I wonder what she's doing tonight. Oh, that's a great song that should have been bigger.
So I was once standing at a post office in Studio City, California, and there was and the guy in front of me has a package, that he's going to mail. I'm waiting in line, and I wasn't looking, but I happened to see that the return address said Bobby Hart. So I looked at him, and he looked like kind of a cool. This is in the early '80s. I hadn't seen a picture of Bobby Hart in many years, and whatever. But I mean, I said, "Excuse me, you Bobby Hart?" He said, "Yeah, man." And I said, I said, first of all, pleasure to meet you. And I said, since we're standing here, can I ask you a question? And he said, yeah. I said, yeah. On Alice Long, it's just, on Alice Long, and I wonder what she's doing tonight, on both records, during the brass break and everything like that, right before you guys come back in to sing the bridge into the chorus again, on both records, Tommy says, "Come on, Bobby, let's give it to him. Come on, Bobby, let's do it." Right before they go, she was young. He goes, "Come on, Bobby, let's do it. Come on, Bobby." I said, "What was that?" He said, "I'll tell you what that is." He said, "Tommy loved Elvis Presley. And Elvis used to talk to the band."
Yeah.
He said he would, in a live show, he would turn around and said, "Come on, guys, let's give it to him one time. All right, everybody." He would talk to the band when they came back in on the thing. And he loved that. So he wanted to talk
He had to do it too.
like Elvis. So he's going to talk like Elvis, and he goes, "Come on, Bobby, let's give it to him one time."
That's so great.
And we left it on the records, and he said, "That's why." They said, "Oh, great."
Yeah,
I said, I'm so glad I ran into you. I never would have known why Tommy Boy.
Yeah, that's true. There's even recordings. There's even regular studio recordings where Elvis says, "Come on, James," or something on it.
Yeah. They talk to the
So
anyway,
if the Monkees would have got a hold, the Monkees recorded a lot of Tommy Boyce, Bobby Hart stuff. If they would have done "I Wonder What She's Doing Tonight," would it have been a gigantic hit?
yeah, it would have sounded great. I'll tell you the song, the Monkees. I'll tell you the record. Every time I hear it, I say, "How did the Monkees not?" This sounds like a Monkees record. "Him or Me, What's It Gonna Be" by the Paul Revere of the Raiders.
Oh,
Go listen to that record, and then think about Mickey singing that one, or Davey. It's so monkey. It sounds like a little bit me, a little bit you, inside out. And so it would have been a perfect one, and I'm sure it was probably pitched. I mean, if you think about the year and the era and the moment, probably somehow it's got passed in front of somebody. Who knows? But that's a great monkeyish. The best story is when Tommy Boyce calls up Don Kirshner, and he says, "Man, he says we want to get you some songs, for the Monkees. What are you looking for?" He said, "I'll tell you what we're looking for right now, Tommy." He said, "A song with a girl's name in the title. We need one of those. They haven't done one of those, and they need like a girl's name record." And so Tommy says, "Oh my God, that is so weird that you say that, Tom. We've got one of those."
Valerie.
He said, "We literally just wrote a girl name song." He said, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Can we come play it for you?" He said, "Yeah, come on into the office right now." So this is in LA. So he turns to Bobby Hart, and he says, "We got to go down and sit down right this minute, right now. They're looking for songs for the Monkees. We got to play them a song." And so I told him we had a song with a girl's name in it. He said, "We don't have a song with a girl's name in it." And he said, "Well, we're going to write one." And they drove as they drove
in the car.
So from the valley, they had to drive to the west side. As they're going down the road, they wrote a song. And if you think about the song, it sounds like it was written in a car in 25 minutes or 20 minutes or 10 minutes.
Is that Valerie?
Yeah. "There's a girl I know who makes me feel so fine, and there's a girl I know who makes me feel so good, and I couldn't live without her even if I could. No, I wouldn't live without her if I could. They call her
Yeah, the way the chorus goes, it sounds like you're flying down the highway, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
She's the girl that used to and I've been. They call her. It's not even a song. I mean, it's not even a song. It's not even a song.
It worked.
I mean, yeah. And then there's a Tommy Boyce in there, right, because Davy Jones got all right. Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah, that break is great, man. What a great! It's a great song.
It's not a great song.
It is.
It's a very good record. It is not a good song. It's a great sounding 45 on the jukebox.
Lou, just that break where all right.
The horn part,
so
bam. The whole thing is. It sounds like they made it up as they went along. It's a terrible song, but it's a great little record. It's a good 45.
Where did it land on the charts?
1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 1.
Somewhere in there, right?
Yeah. And the B-side, I think, was Tapioca Tundra, which is a nice Mike Nesmith piece.
Yeah, Mike cut. Yeah, I love that. I love those guys.
Nesmith's piece. No, Holly, you don't love that song. You like that record. And you like the memory of who you were when you heard it.
We love it. We love Monkees. We're Monkees fanatics.
I love Monkees.
Now, wait. Now, earlier in the emails, you said you didn't want to hang around very long, so... Wait, I got questions. Hold on.
Yes.
Let me get. Okay. When did you first get involved in radio? How early? What was your first radio station you worked at?
When I started on radio, well, gosh, the first station I ever worked at was on well, I volunteered at a station. I used to go and get like cigarettes and hot dogs for the DJs just so I could hang around and watch. But that was like when I was a kid. Yeah, but it worked at first station that ever paid me money was WDHA in Dover, New Jersey.
Whoa, Dover.
They hired me to be the vacation fill guy. And so when anyone took a vacation, I did their show.
You didn't do any
And
college? No college radio?
I did college radio a little bit, but I really got out as a, even in college, I got that professional work like that,
Wow.
WDHA.
Very cool.
And then I went to a station full time in Hackettstown, New Jersey. These are small radio stations.
Yeah.
And then they made the big leap from there to Greenville, South Carolina, which actually is a real place. Um, and a good sized station there. And from there was a guy driving through. He was the program director of a station. He heard me on the air and called me and he said, "You want to come work for me in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is a bigger city. That city actually matters. That's a great place." And then it leapfrogged from there, and I wound up in Los Angeles doing mornings for CBS.
Wow. What year was that?
83.
83. Mornings in CBS. Wow.
Yeah.
That was a big move, huh?
No, that was a big move. That was a
But
big move.
but everybody in radio in those days were all over the map. If you wanted to be a DJ in radio, you were jumping cities constantly.
You were always moving. You were always ready to move for an extra $20 a week, literally.
Wow.
Because but if you were gonna get to the next size market and matter more, and more people would hear you, and you could, that was it. You were market climbing all the time. That LA was the second biggest market in America. So at that point, you want to stay. But then I wanted to get into management a little bit and not have that volatile life of a disc jockey. And so I went down a market size so I could become a program director. And that took me to Salt Lake, Utah. And, yeah. And then, So anyway, that's sort of the journey. But I eventually wound up playing standards in Los Angeles. I went back to Los Angeles playing standards, playing, Frank Sinatra and Peggy Lee and that. And then the Sinatra family cut a deal with Sirius, at the time Sirius, before there was a merged XM, Sirius Radio, to launch a channel. Seriously Sinatra was the name. And they needed someone to run it. And the people at Sirius said, "Do you know anybody that you'd like us to speak to?
Wow.
To run your radio station?" And they said, "Yeah, there's this guy we listen to in LA who seems to know his stuff, Lou Simon." And next thing I know, Sirius interviews me about the gig and then hires me, and I build the channel. And heck, that was almost 18 years, 17 and a half years ago.
Man, what a connect there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sinatra family.
Thank you,
Whoa.
Nancy and Tina, for listening.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Because had I been playing standards in St. Louis, they were there, but I happened to be in LA, and it was the only standards radio station, and they used to drive around and listen because they could hear their dad and Dean Martin and whatever else. And so, yeah. And I used to give the background on the songs and talk about Cole Porter and blah 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 blah. So they said, "Hey, get that guy."
So you moved to New York?
Luckily, I had done the Salt Lake trip, because then when Sirius said to me, "Have you ever been a program director?" I said, "Well, yes, I have."
Perfect.
Had I just been a DJ, they would have said, "Okay, well, you know how to talk on the radio, but you don't know how to run a radio station."
Yeah. So you moved to New York at that time?
Did I move to New York at that time? No, I didn't, because the Sinatras were living in California, and they were our partner on the channel.
So you
and
were
I need to
working
be
together. Yeah.
So I was based in California. Yeah, I never worked in our New York office.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've been there a million times, but I've never actually worked there. I've always been California based until I moved to Florida.
Well, that's nice. That was nice. That's the nice thing about Sirius, right? Is that a lot of the people are all over the place that work there. A lot of the DJs.
Yeah, well, we have primary offices: Nashville, New York. We have Washington, D.C., because that's where XM was based. And when we merged, we maintained their building there. Right. And now we have Florida, and we have, those are the primary places where we have, studios.
Oh, thank you, Terry. Terry says your voice is like butter. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, no, you're talking about Lou. Oh, geez.
No, I thought you were talking about you, Mick. So I should mention that. So if anybody does want to join into the old Jukebox Diner Fun, it's on Sunday nights at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, on Channel 73. So, and if you're not a subscriber, you can get that trial and check it out. And then
It
we have a
is.
Facebook page, which has become very active, and people are really using it during the show and even during the week, telling stories, making requests, asking questions, and that's Lou's Jukebox Diner page. That was our brilliant name for it.
It's very
Lou's
nice. It's very
Jukebox
good.
Diner page. Yeah, and
Great gang. The gang of people that are involved in your show are just a great group of people. They're really good.
well, not only that, yeah, they are a really great group of people, and some of them have actually become friends. I mean, we have, one guy had to go out of town. Somebody else, one of the people went, on his way out of town, he dropped his dog off at one of the other listeners' house to watch his dog for a week. They've gone to each other's, they've been supportive at, celebrations of life and at weddings, and
Right.
they're like actually they've become friends, and they have little study group, Zooms that they do to talk about the show after the show. I mean, and the show this coming Sunday was supposed to be
Oh,
in the studio with something like 30 listeners were flying in from California, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Ohio, everywhere, to come and hang out in the studio. But because of the hurricane, the company kind of shut all activity down, not only for incoming like guests like that, but for our staff. So they didn't have to, you know what I mean?
right.
Travel, and just in case they were affected by the storm.
Well, I
They
can
thought it was
imagine.
prudent to do that. So we're gonna have to
Even
reschedule that.
yeah.
But it tells you how sweet these people are, and they're
They're willing
really
to
so
take their
kind.
vacations around hanging out and coming down to
Yeah,
the
I mean, by the
show.
airfare and the hotel, everything, just to come out and
It's the
have a
best.
little confab and sit and be silly and talk about this wacky stuff.
Jeez. So cool. Oh,
Mick, you're a graphic guy. Name the four Beatle albums that does not say the Beatles on the cover.
um, uh, 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 um, okay. I'm totally blank. I'm on the spot here, and I'm blanking. But I can see the Revolver album doesn't say it, right?
That's correct. That's one of four. It's very good, Mick. It's well
Well, I
played.
just know that one because
It's
that's like the
very well
most
done.
graphically Klaus Vorman art. That's
Very
unbelievable.
graphic, Klaus Vorman. Yes.
Another one.
I mean, you're a
Abbey
graphic
Road.
artist.
Abbey Road doesn't have it.
Abbey Road is another one. That's two. Very, very good. I mean, you're a graphic cat. Come on, Mick. There's two more.
So, no, Sergeant Pepper says Beatles on the drums, right?
Beatles on flowers written on the ground
On
on a grave.
Flowers, that's right.
Mm.
You know, I did a comic called Promethea back in the 90s, and we did a homage of the cover was Sergeant Pepper with these four ladies, these Promethea goddesses, and an exact replica of the Sergeant Pepper album, but it said Promethea on it. It was very cool. But
Very nice.
I can't think of two more. Wait a minute. Top of my head. I can't. I'm trying to picture them. Trying to picture them.
You got two. You got two good ones
I'm
there.
doing pretty good.
Abbey Road
Give me
and
the other
Revolver.
two. I
You're
can't get 'em.
halfway there, Mick. See, you're halfway there, and that's the good thing. You
Was this
you've
the
made
Beatle?
50%,
Was this
50%
the
of the
Beatle
climb.
trivia question that you were gonna pop
No,
on?
no.
No,
I think
I
I'm
want
gonna
to.
save that. I think I'm gonna save that one for Sunday night and just
Yeah.
watch
Oh,
and just
okay.
listen
Okay.
to everybody
Get
squizzle.
get
I
me to
came up
tune
with one.
in.
I asked myself a question today, and I answered it, and then I thought about it, and I said, I love that question.
Wow.
It's no. I came
A
up with
good one, huh?
oh no. I came up with a good one.
Good one. Okay.
Well, you're well, okay. Well,
So
you're
I'm
halfway there.
blanking. Give me the other two. I can't think of them.
Let It Be does not say the Beatles on the cover.
Oh yeah.
It just says Let It Be.
Yeah.
And you got Revolver,
Right. Abbey Road.
and you got Abbey Road.
And the third one. I mean fourth one. would-
It's one of the best album photograph things ever. It's called Rubber
Oh.
Soul.
Oh yes.
Rubber Soul. Great picture of the band. Great picture of those four guys. And it does not say the Beatles on the cover.
That is too cool. That they, you think about it in those days, that was probably kind of risque as far as an album not to put the name of the band on, for the company not to put the name of the band on.
It's not the first. I don't like the F word or the
Yes.
O word or the first, last, and only. Big problem. But that's not the first. But it's one of the first to feel that strongly that we don't have to put their name, the name of the artist on here. People will know who they are and they'll buy it anyway. And they were right. But there were records before that, the folk record, a couple of other records
Yeah.
that predate 1965.
Now, I was wondering, I was going to ask you, would you be willing, if anybody, they might not even have anything, I don't know where these people's minds are tonight, my friends here, but if they had a trivia question or something that they would like to try to stump you, would you be willing to take one?
Oh, of course. And by the way, it's not that hard to stump me. It's
Oh,
really
come on.
No, people
I-
know all kinds
This
of
guy
stuff
is
that I've
really
never
hard. If you have a trivia question, just say you have one in the chat, and I'll bring you in, because this guy is an amazing mind on trivia. Amazing. Blows me away constantly.
I know what I know, and I'm here to learn the rest. I always say that every week. I learn something every week on that show.
Okay, I called in one night and told you about the Lemon Twigs. Did you ever get to listen to them?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna I really want to play you this Lemon Twigs song. Oh, so nice, man. The Lemon Twigs from their album A Dream Is All We Know. We heard In the Eyes of the Girl, and of course, Warmth of the Sun. Let me bring Lou back in. Come on in, Lou.
Oh, that's pretty.
They are something. They got to meet Brian a month or two ago, and they're young kids. They're only 20 something.
Wow. Well, they're channeling that. There's
They
a
do.
group I used to listen to out of Scotland called Cosmic Rough Riders, and those guys.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, they really figured out, they had a Beach Boys sound. They could do a Crosby, Stills, Nash sound. They had harmony down, and they did it. They loved American music and
These
American.
guys are two brothers, and they grew up. Well, their dad was a musician too, and they grew up just playing music. They were recording at 10, 15, and they just kept going, and they're constantly on the road now. I think they're gonna do something. They're gonna be big. I think they're still playing clubs, but they're busy touring the world.
I have asked individually Mike Love and Brian Wilson. I said, you could have put throwaway songs on your B-sides, like, Denny's drums, or, some of the album cuts and things that, even like Salt Lake City or Hawaii, been good B-sides. And I said, you kind of not wasted songs, but you kind of did. When you think about the B-sides, like Warmth of the Sun, which sat on the B-side of Dance, 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 and you think about, Little Deuce Coupe, which is a flip, 409, which is a flip, God Only Knows, which is a flip, Don't Worry Baby, which is a flip. I said,
Crazy B-sides.
Those could have been A-sides and hits. And you had so many album cuts that, no offense, but they would have been fine to just throw on the B. Why Do Fools Fall in Love was a good B-side, on Fun. But, Please Let Me Wonder, that's an okay B. But God Only Knows and Don't Worry Baby, ostensibly, could have been hits. And
God Only Knows, you could almost say, is the greatest Beach Boys song, I think.
Yeah.
And one of the top three.
One of the best flips of all time, although in England it was the A-side.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but in America, Capitol felt that radio stations wouldn't play a song with God in the title, so they worked the other side. Wouldn't it be nice? But either way, they should have been separated. It's an awful A-B combo as far as tossing a song away. And individually, in separate years and in different rooms, they said, Mike and Brian each said to me, well, we just wanted people to get their money's worth. And we knew we could write more. That's what they both said. We knew we could come up with more.
That's
and we wanted people. So, I mean, it's very generous of them. It's not very business minded, but they were kids. And they felt like, hey, guys, let's put out two great songs here,
And the other thing is a lot of bands wouldn't have that power, right? A lot of bands wouldn't have the power of deciding what song was going to be on the B-side in those days.
I don't know. I think like when the Beatles went in and recorded "She Loves You" and "I'll Get You," they knew that one was the A, one was the B. I mean, they came to the studio prepared
Yeah,
to
yeah,
back then record two songs, and they
yeah.
knew that was going to be the A and the B. And
Right.
they, and but the point is that no one at Capitol said, "No, guys, you can't put this on the flip. It's your follow-up single. Do something else."
Yeah,
Nobody stopped them, is I guess your point.
yeah.
And yeah, well, I said to Jimmy Webb, I said, why didn't we on the B side of MacArthur Park? That should have been the follow-up. It's a timeless ballad. It would have been a big, big hit. And he said, I don't know how that happened. He said, at the time, I wasn't thinking about follow-ups or flip sides. I just wanted to see if anybody would play my MacArthur Park song. So, in retrospect, but anyway, so
Okay.
that's the hot news.
Terry was too shy to come in and ask you, but her trivia question is name Paul McCartney's third solo studio album.
His third solo studio album. So we'll call the McCartney album his first. I mean, well, how technical? He did that at home. Are we going to play that game of that wasn't done in a studio? It was done at his house.
See, she's too shy to come in,
Or
so
do we
she's
mean
not.
studio versus live?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Studio versus live, I think.
so the first album, McCartney would
McCartney,
be
yeah.
the first one,
McCartney too.
and then he did McCartney 2 and McCartney 3. Those are
Oh,
the true solo albums.
oh,
Yeah, you're talking about true solo albums because the second album is by Paul and Linda, so that's not a solo album
oh,
at
yeah.
Ram. And then the third album is Wildlife, and that's by Wings. I mean,
Oh, see, this is more
and
tricky than I
then
thought it was,
and
Terry.
then Red Rose Speedway is next, and that's by Paul McCartney and Wings, which is then followed by, then you get Band on the Run, then you get, Venus and Mars, and then you get those are all Wings records. But the ones that are actually solo records, the first one was called McCartney, the second one was called McCartney 2 that had Coming Up on it, and then McCartney 3 is the third
But
true.
that was the 80s McCartney 3, right?
Yeah. No, McCartney
There's
3 was just a few years ago.
yeah, so I mean, there's another one.
McCartney 2 was in 1980. He
Yeah.
did one in 70, one in
2 was in
80, and
80, right.
then yeah,
You get that box set now, which is kind of cool.
yeah.
But
So I mean,
she's saying that there's one in between.
you mean talking about Tug of War?
Got it. He got
Yeah,
it. See, I told you this guy's
yeah.
good.
Tug of War he put out under his name. It's really he really had a group on there. Yeah, that came out under Paul McCartney, and then later Chaos and Creation in the Backyard.
When you
But
listen to
you see, it depends what you mean by see. I'm a very technical. So okay, first of all, you use the word studio. First album was done at home, but it's okay. So it's studio.
that's a
Then you
studio in
use the
its own.
word solo. Solo on McCartney, McCartney 2, McCartney 3, he played all the instruments and did all the vocals.
Oh,
That's true solo.
he didn't
On
on Tug of War.
Tug of War, George Martin produced it. He had an incredible set of musicians on that album
So should
playing
that
with
even
him.
be called a
So,
totally solo record
so when you say solo, do you mean without wings, or do you? So
without anybody?
the words in these questions are always very important. Studio is a word. Solo
You
has
caught
meaning.
her. You
Oh
caught her.
no, it's just that it has meaning. Those things, they when you ask the question, otherwise people say "gotcha." Well, so
When
when someone
you
asks me a question, I usually ask them questions back.
when you listen to Lou on the show and people ask him questions, I always think of what my dad always said to me when I was thinking. He would go, "Oh, I can smell the wood burning," he would say.
Yeah.
Because he's thinking about, wait a minute, that's not quite. Yeah.
My favorite was when people remember Sam from Sherman Oaks called last week, and he said, "Lou, what do Brian Hyland and Janet Dean have in common?" And I said, "Well, okay, sure. Brian Hyland had a record called Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini, and Janet Dean had a record called One Piece Topless Bathing Suit. So they each recorded songs about bathing suits."
Perfect.
And he said, "No." I said, "Well, yes." He said, "Well, that wasn't what I was thinking." I said, "Well, the question wasn't what am I thinking? The question was, what do they have in common?" And he said, "Well, yeah, okay. No, the answer is that." I said, "Okay, wait. I know what's going to happen. It's going to be a studio musician that they each use." He said, "Right. Hal Blaine, played drums on two of their records, Drag City and Joker Went Wild. I said, okay, that's like okay, great. Thank you.
3 million records with Hal Blaine.
Okay, great. So Hal Blaine played on a Brian Hine record. Okay, now, okay, hang up now. It's fun, but it's not like unique, like, oh my God, trivia.
And everybody here knows that I'm a Chris Spedding fanatic. Matter of fact, we've had Chris Spedding on the show. I've been a fan of his forever. He's on KMiC every once in a while. But I called Lou one night and I went, oh, I know I'm going to get him. I'm going to get Lou tonight. I'm going to say, this record, Rick, what is the connection between these three records? And he sat there for maybe 2 minutes and went, Chris Spedding. I went, God, he got it. He knows it.
There it was. So listen, I actually, believe it or not, have work to do.
Oh, no.
I know it's 11:30 but I've got stuff.
Okay. Okay.
The fun thing is Sunday night, but between Sundays and Sundays, there's like stuff.
I don't want to hold you up, but I have a challenge. I want to challenge you.
Yeah.
Before you go.
Yeah.
To a marimba off on Moonlight Feels Right. Are you willing to do an air marimba off?
I would love to do an air marimba.
I asked my wife to do it, and she didn't want to do it. So I'm
in memory of the great Bo Weaver, who passed away a couple of years ago.
Is there any other song that has a marimba solo in pop music? I can't think of anything.
Yes,
I mean, there must be.
Just the other day, somebody mentioned a record to me and said, "What instrument is that?" And I said, "That's a marimba."
Wow.
And now I can't remember what record it was, but I said, "No, that's definitely."
Isn't this the greatest marimba solo ever?
This is the best marimba solo.
There's nothing like this. There's nothing like this. Okay,
it's perfect.
I've challenged Lou to an air marimba off here, and we're going to do it because he's got to go to work. I don't know what he's talking about going to work at 11:30 at night, but here we go. Get your sticks ready for marimba-ing.
Ready for marimba.
KMiC Radio, here's Starbuck. Moonlight Feels Right. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you got me. You got me.
You were right there. It was great. No, that's great. That's
something you have to look forward to on Lou's, is we all are at home air guitaring, air marimba.
Yeah. Well, it's no, that's a good one. I tried to get Bo on the show to talk to him about.
Holly, she came in. That's my wife up there.
Hey, I wanted to get him on the show to talk about the marimba solo, and I found out that he had passed away, and we were going to get Bruce Blackman, who wrote that song and was the keyboard player on it, the synthesizer player on it, just talk about the decision to even use a marimba. I mean, it's an interesting thing, but it was brilliant. Thank you for having me on KMiC.
Thank you, buddy.
I'm doing work, but I'm drinking decaf out of my KMiC mug.
You are the best. You are my radio hero. I think about you whenever I am on the air.
Thank you. You do this out of passion and love, and it's great. And you're such a talented guy and artist, and have skills in your own right that are far beyond what any of us can achieve. So
just try to have fun in life. That's all we try to do, Luke.
That's what you're doing, man, in Life House.
Lifehouse.
Lifehouse.
The connection right there. Hey, are you talking about this? Oh my
I am
God.
talking about that.
Yeah, that must be what you. Oh wait, there it is.
Look at that
Must
thing.
be
There
talking
it
about
is.
that. Wow, it's a beauty, isn't it?
I'm telling you, that's nice.
Hey, look
work.
at this. Look at this before you leave. It just so happens to have a. Oh wait, it's gonna.
Uh-oh, we're blurred.
It's got a little bit of a
Little signature on that.
signature of Mr. Townsend in it for me.
Yeah, you gotta love
Very
that.
nice. Pretty cool.
You gotta love that.
Lou,
All right,
thank
folks.
you.
Thank you.
See ya-
We'll
see you on Sunday, man.
night in the old diner.
Happy
All right, man.
happy early birthday to you, buddy.
Thank you, my friend. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Adios, man.
Bye bye.
See ya. Oh man, that guy is something.